Yeah, I think it was released here a little while ago that we're going to do training camp again here this summer at One Bills Drive and not be able to go to St. John Fisher. Tough decision. We sent a crew up there a few weeks back, and they looked at everything based on what the protocols are today. We've been in constant contact with the league because we really wanted to make it work at St. John Fisher. I think you guys have heard Sean and myself how much we think it's a great setup for us. And we were trying every which way we could to make it work. But in the end, as we sit here today, the current protocols just make it really hard for us to do what we need to do and not be a distraction for our team with all the distancing, and some things would just have to be virtual that we can do in person here with the setup. So we just decided the best way to get our team ready for this season was to do it here again this year. But we'll see down the road. As I said a minute ago, Sean and I love camp, and we're disappointed that it wouldn't work out. But at the same time, we have a great setup here, and our guys did a great job here last year. All of our operations staff and all the people behind the scenes putting it together, and we'll now focus 100% of our efforts on what that will look like here. So with that said, any questions out there, fire away.
Hey, Brandon, John Worrell.
Hey, John.
All the way from Canada, self-isolating here.
Good.
But just wondering, is this partially the decision partially a reflection of the team not being able to meet the vaccination thresholds, and how much of a setback might that be to you?
No, John, it's actually zero to do with the vaccines. It's literally the protocols that we're operating under right now. The league updates them, but they don't tell us when it will happen. And as of now, we have certain things that have to be distance, how we do meals, how the locker room space is, all of that stuff. As we sit here today, no matter who's vaccinated and who's not, those are the rules that we're under. Could they change between now and camp? Possibly, but there's no certainty and no clarity. And, we're running up against all the setup that would need to get going at St. John Fisher. And so we didn't feel like we could delay the decision any longer.
Gotcha. And just as a follow-up, just on the vaccination front, which has become a bit of a hot topic with the Bills, do you think that this team will not face any setbacks when it comes to thresholds once they come into play?
Well, we don't know what the thresholds are, John. That's part of the clarity that we don't have today. And so, we've obviously educated our guys on as much as we have. And I think it has been a hot topic, but in the building, the guys have been very focused on football here. I think it's probably grown more legs outside, whether it's social media or articles. In here, we're all on the same page. We've had a lot of great discussion, and we have a healthy locker room of guys that can be mature and have, which side of the fence you're on. And that's what Sean and I really respect about not only our teammates and our players, but our staff members as well. So at the end of the day, we don't know what the thresholds will be, and but it won't be a distraction. We're excited about the season, and whatever it is, we'll deal with it at that time.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it.
Hey, Brandon, it's John. What does this do, not going to Fisher the past 2 years? How does that affect the contract you guys had with the school, and where do things stand with that currently?
Yeah, I don't know everything on that, John, to be honest with you. Kim and some of the other ones are handling that. So I know there will be discussions down the road with the representatives at St. John Fisher about what that would look like. But at the end of the day, we're just focused on this year, and I'll let Kim and them handle what it looks like going forward.
And then as a follow-up for things in Orchard Park, it may be too soon to say, but have there been any discussions or thoughts to having fans a part of things at the facility?
Yeah, that's the hard part. We love, at camp is being able to involve our fans. And so we're having internal discussions. We always have that scrimmage, a week before the preseason game. We're looking at that, plus, another opportunity or two nothing's in stone, but we're trying to find some ways to have some open practices in the stadium so that we can allow our fans to come. Obviously, it doesn't work as well on the practice field, but we hope to down the road have some dates, a date or dates that will be open to the public.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, John.
Hey, Brandon, it's Thad. Good to see you.
You too, Thad.
Thanks, man. I know you kind of want to concentrate on this year, but with the contract at least being up for the moment, is there a thought for this team, if they want to go away to camp, that it possibly could be somewhere other than Fisher whenever the next deal becomes a reality for your team?
Yeah, I mean, until something's done, I guess that's always an option, Thad. That's not really our focus. Our 100% of our efforts has been on trying to make it work this year. And once that became not a reality for us, and we just had to focus on, what we're going to do camp here. We haven't had discussions. Kim will be all over that, and she has her team of people that I'm sure we'll discuss that and then circle back with me and Sean down the road on what that looks like.
And then Sean talked about, how much the team enjoys connecting with fans, not only in Rochester, but from other places that come to Rochester to see camp. Is there a message that you want to convey to all those people who will not have the opportunity again this year to see you guys in person?
Yeah, I mean, it's disappointing. I feel bad for them because I know how many people love to come up there. It's such a great setup. The weather's generally really, really good. And again, selfishly, I'm disappointed not to see the fans and not to have camp up there. I can promise you, we could have easily made this decision weeks ago to stay here, but we tried every which way we could to get it to happen, and tried to even find out dates when the league might amend the protocols. But a lot of that has to be negotiated with the union, and there's still uncertainty. And this was kind of a hard deadline that we needed clarity. So I'm disappointed for our fans up in that region that come religiously. And, again, hopefully we can get back to being able to hold training camp away down the line. But at this time, that's all I can really say, Thad.
Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate it as always.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Brandon, good to see you, bud.
What's up, Sal?
Not too much besides my weight.
Hopefully your golf score is going the other way.
No golf. Still can't play. Anyway, logistically, if you guys were not to go back to Fisher or anywhere else down the road, if you decide that you want to be like many other teams and just stay home, logistically, what would have to happen for that to be a reality to bring fans into your practice facility? Because I know you don't want to be on turf every day. What would you have to do? Have you even thought about that yet?
Yeah, I think if what we'd have to do is, sometimes you see those stands that have risers in them, and maybe you got tents or stuff like that. So we'd probably have to come up with a way to have some stands that are a little higher than normal, so that they could at least look above the fence. I'm sure there's other things we could do as far as maybe take down some of that blue tarp. And I mean, nothing's ideal. That's why going to a place like Fisher that's set up for that is better. And we do, you're right. We do want to be on grass as much as we can, especially that time of year when guys are practicing every day and there's not those built-in days in the season that they're off. But those would be probably the first things that come to mind, but we would look at all avenues if that happened down the road for sure.
Okay. Thanks, Brandon.
You got it, Sal.
Hey, Brandon, just a follow-up on the vaccination question. You had made your comments on One Bills Live, and Sean, when we talked to him most recently, I think it's fair to say he expressed a fair level he used the word concern about the situation, that it could potentially impact the season based on what you would or wouldn't be able to do if you hadn't met the vaccination threshold. So I would ask you just kind of directly right now, given where things stand on that issue, are you concerned about it? Are you satisfied with where things are at? How would you characterize your view of that situation at the time we're at right now, looking toward the season and training camp?
Yeah, I get the question, Adam. I guess first off, my comment was a hypothetical, and again, I spoke to the union, spoke to the league, and we all got on the same page on that. It wasn't. I think it got blown out as far as me cutting players that weren't vaccinated. That was not the gist of what I said, but it is what it is. It was all in the context of looking for, my job is to find competitive advantages for our team. And it was really from that context. And again, it was all hypothetical. To Sean's, what he said, we're trying to stay out in front of it and figure out what the thresholds are, and also educate our guys on everything we can about the vaccines, whether it's medical people, whether it's other people that have had it, other sports. And that's really all we can do, is just educate. And it's a personal decision. And as I said earlier, where you lie on the fence, it is what it is. But I can tell you our locker room is very strong. It's together, and guys support each other, whatever their decisions are. And Sean and I are going to be right there to support them. And it's not going to impact our season negatively or anything like that. We're going to make the most of it, whatever the thresholds are and whatever restrictions we have to deal with.
Just a quick follow-up if I could, and this kind of comes from the "well, we have you here" category, but a lot of interest obviously in the Josh Allen negotiations. Can you give us some type of update or indication of where things stand on that front?
You're not going to like my answer, Adam, but no, there's really nothing to give you on that. If something were to happen, this summer, we'd definitely let you know. Hopefully it's coming from us and not being broke somewhere else. But other than that, there's nothing I could give you.
Is it ongoing? Is it fair to say that?
There's nothing I could give you on it. I'm sorry.
Fair
I try to be transparent, but I don't like to talk about that stuff until, if and in, a deal happens.
All right. You get the question. I know you do. Thank you.
I do. I respect it. I'd ask it if I were in your shoes, but hopefully you respect my answer as well.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good.
Sorry, my computer is freaking out and Beauvais is trying to unmute himself. Let's see.
All right. Did that work?
There you go. I got you, Matt.
All right. Beautiful. All right, Brandon. Sorry about the hold up there. You and Sean have talked about all of the things that you like about going away to training camp in Rochester. I'm wondering, in the 1 year where you were able to have training camp in Orchard Park, what, if anything, were the positives? What was maybe, a better thing about being here in Buffalo as opposed to being down the 90?
Well, I think the one thing is guys have access to our facilities, and the Pagulas put a lot of money in here, and they're getting use of it now, which is very helpful. And then in the season, so you can't replicate what we have here. The reason for the getaway is just that team camaraderie building, which still happens here. It's just you don't get the stuff at night, maybe because guys have obligations to go home, or they have things that pull them away, kids at games or whatever's going on. But no, we have a great setup here, and it's not a negative. It's really not. We love what we have here. We love the setup. And so I think from that standpoint, it'll be a very good camp. The one thing we did last year was we set up those tents out there. I think that was a good setup. We may do some of that again. I don't know if it'll look exactly the same. And then I'm sure guys will tell you their bed is more comfortable than a dorm bed or a rented bed. My bed's more comfortable here than it is there, but I'd still prefer camp. It's, you ask 50 people, 25 are going to tell you they love camp. 25 are going to say they'd rather stay home. You're not going to please everybody, but it'll still be very productive here.
Yeah, the play is taking the two dorm beds and putting them together, so you got one regular size bed instead of the little twin bed. Thanks.
Sounds
Brandon.
like you've been there.
once or twice.
Yeah, sounds good.
Hey, Brandon. In talking to fans about this training camp, whether it be in Buffalo or Fisher, one of the things that always comes up is just the disappointment of last year not being able to be out there and see it. And so you mentioned 1 or 2 times for open practices. I'm curious if you've talked additionally about maybe some type of video type of element so fans can watch more than 2 or 3 practices, or if there's any ongoing conversations on that front.
We haven't. Fair question, but no, Matt, we really just been more talking about what live exposures we could give them in person, not the videos, probably less of that. Just you get that because if you're filming everything, every team's going to have access to what you put out there. So anything we did like that, we'd have to make sure it didn't be a competitive disadvantage for us.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, how everybody's on the same page in the building. I'm curious, it's a lot of tough conversations to have, but how much has this kind of environment brought you guys together, and in what ways?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Sean and I pride ourselves on the type of team that we have here and the guys we've got in this locker room. And you always deal with adversity throughout each season. Okay. Every season has ups and downs. Rarely do you go start to finish and everything was perfect. Even when you're winning games, sometimes there's things going on in a locker room, or certain players are dealing with this or whatever. And the strong locker rooms can deal with that in a mature fashion. And so, with this topic, I've been very impressed with how our guys have had open, honest dialogue, whether it's with the medical people, whether it's coach to player, player to myself, whoever, player to player, is we don't always have to see everything through the same prism, but we can respect each other's opinions. And that's what I'm probably most proud of, how our guys have handled it to this point. Like I said earlier, I think it's probably grown more legs on social media or nationally than what it has here inside these walls.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it.
Hey, Brandon, Matt Fairburn here. Kind of along that same line, and I'm curious what the perhaps benefit has been of the fact that you're in the building and having these conversations as opposed to 12 months ago. I mean, it's a tough topic. Tough topics have come up before in your tenure as GM, but the fact that you guys have been able to have a good chunk of guys in the building to hash this out in person, what's been the benefit of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got some good guys, whether they're captains or whether they're on Sean's leadership council, even back to, how we were going to do our OTAs this year. Those are some tough discussions. A lot of teams going different avenues of shortening things or only walkthroughs or whatever. And, Sean and I had at least 4 or 5 of those with a lot of the leaders on this team, and we shared ideas. And even if we weren't always in agreement on how one of them or 2 of them saw something, we had great dialogue and we talked it through, and both sides listened to each other. And that's how you move on, and that's how you understand. You respect each other's opinions and your viewpoints, and then you make the best decision for your team. And I think our players really appreciated the open dialogue that we had of the structure of OTAs. And again, another tough topic, that's been out there across the country is vaccines. And like I said, it's been no different. It's been very mature conversations, even when people maybe not agree with, one's decision to or to not get vaccinated.
I know you mentioned, the comment you made on the radio kind of took on legs of its own a little bit, and you had the conversation with the PA in the league. I'm curious if any players, if you had to have any conversations like that, or if what you're talking about as far as what you've guys set up as open communication made that a little bit easier, like they know you well enough, or just how that dynamic was.
Yeah, I think they know me well enough. I spoke to several of them, their leaders, and we talked about it, and made sure they understood the context, because I doubt they were going to pull up the interview. But it's I think people know right now, I'm brutally honest, sometimes to a fault, and but I am who I am, and I think they respect that, even if they disagree with it. And that's what I respect about them, that we can have these conversations. And I love this locker room. I love these guys. And do I agree with every one of them on everything they do, no matter what? No, but that's okay. That's what makes the world great. If it's been said, a lot. I think if you could take a lot of NFL locker rooms, and especially ours, and put them out in society, I think it'd be a lot better on how they handle tough issues, whether it's race, whether it's vaccines, whatever situation's out there.
Thanks, Brandon.
You got it.
Hey, Brandon, it's Kim.
Hi, Kim.
Hi. I think when Roger Goodell said at the end of March that he looked forward to anticipating full stadiums, whatever his exact language were, but he certainly was expecting full stadiums. I thought the optimistic side of me thought, wow, great, we're through this. And we're not through it obviously completely. And my question to you with that context is, do you think COVID and COVID protocols are still going to affect your team this season?
Yeah, I mean, Kim, right now we're operating as if there's going to be some type of protocols that we have to, whether that's, our guys, we enjoy eating lunch together. And right now that's still, you can't do it. It's grab and go per the process. And certain things, sauna's not open still. There's certain things that guys just can't do. It's better. It's less virtual stuff, more in person. I think the needle has moved, just like we're moving to full stadiums, but it's not back to 2019 yet, which we all will look forward to when that happens. So we're still under the impression that we're going to have through camp, some type of protocols, some type of restrictions. But I think last year taught us a lot that we'll find a way to deal with whatever they are, and it definitely won't be an excuse.
I wasn't going to follow, Brandon, but if you don't mind, I do have a quick follow-up. I remember when Darrell Williams made that fumble recovery against the Colts, and I can't remember if it was me, I think it might have been, who asked Sean on Zoom, about that play and how he reacted to Williams. And I remember being saddened because Sean said, like, across the room, he got Williams' attention and, like, gave him a thumbs up. Because at that point, you weren't allowed to, hug a guy, if he made a great play for you. Football, it seems to me, the ultimate team game, needs that kind of interaction. Do you guys miss that? You have such a together franchise, as far as I can tell. Do you guys miss that opportunity? My goodness, for a head coach to hug a big lineman who just might have saved your season?
Yeah, no doubt. It's that was what made last year so hard. And spaced out locker rooms, and just sometimes like I said, I miss sitting down at lunch sometimes and just hearing each guy talk about somebody in their family or what's going on in their lives, just not talking about football for 15-20 minutes. And we've lost that, but that's what's made this offseason fun now that the guys have been back and we've been able to have more. Last year at this time, everything was remote and we didn't even know what the season was going to look like. So I'm excited about where things are, Kim, and I'm looking at it from the glass half full that it's only going to get better.
Okay. I like that. Thanks, Brandon.
You got it. Good seeing you, Kim.
Hey, Brandon, Dan Fates in Rochester. You guys had a strong showing of attendance at OTAs. I know Dion complimented you for dealing with other players' schedules and families and working with them. I know it was a logistics thing you guys talked about with training camp, but was there player input on training camp, or what was their reaction when you guys told them today that they'd be staying in Buffalo?
Yeah, I think there really wasn't a lot. We do talk, Sean did have a conversation with a few of them after one practice, telling them that we're still working through the decision. And with these protocols, would they have a preference either way, or do they just want to put the decision on us? And so that conversation did happen, but we really tried, like I said, Friday afternoon, we kind of knew our time had ended, and this week we would need to move forward. But like I said, we'll make the most of it. Our guys, it's like anything. You ask, like I said earlier, you ask 50 of them, 25 probably love camp, and 25 would rather sleep in their own bed. So that's probably more of an individual question.
I appreciate it, Brandon. Go Braves.
You got it. Thanks.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I got you, Marcel.
Yeah, sorry, video's not working right now, but I just wanted to clarify because the Boston Globe, I believe it was, recently ran a story about how difficult time that teams are having in getting their players vaccinated. I just want to make 100% clear that your players' vaccination rate had nothing to do with your decision at St. John Fisher.
Zero. Yeah,
Okay.
It was the protocols, Marcel. That was the current protocols with the size of the meeting rooms that we need to have. We just couldn't fit all the meeting rooms in the space that were allotted up there, and you can only do so many things outside with weather not affecting in the locker room space as well. I can't hear you now. I lost you.
Appreciate it, Nicole. I think I muted myself. And then and then this is another, I guess, speculatory, hypothetical question, but have you either given any consideration to or actually asked players that are vaccinated to withhold their vaccination status when asked about it, just so that nobody can speculate whether or not, okay, well, if this guy said he is vaccinated and this guy doesn't want to talk about it, that must mean this guy is unvaccinated. Like, has there ever been that kind of conversation within your building?
No, not that I'm aware of, not that I've been a part of, or no, I haven't heard that at all.
Gotcha. All right. I appreciate your time as always, Brandon. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, Marcel.